You won't believe what Paris Jackson finally said about the one part of Neverland no one was allowed to enter. For years, people whispered about Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch, a private wonderland packed with a theme park, zoo, and enough fantasy to make Disneyland jealous. From the outside, it looked like a child's dream come true. But behind the gates and glitter, something always felt off. Rumors flew. People asked, what really went on behind those locked doors? Especially upstairs, where even family rarely went. Well, now, someone who lived there is finally breaking the silence. Paris Jackson, Michael's daughter, has opened up about what she remembers from Neverland. And what she didn't know back then might shock you. Let's rewind. Michael Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana, into a small house that overflowed with music, chaos, and dreams. He was the 8th of 10 kids, and his childhood was anything but carefree. His father, Joe, was a steelworker by day, band guitarist by night, and an infamous drill sergeant when it came to pushing his kids. Strict didn't begin to cover it. Michael remembered rehearsals with Joe sitting nearby, belt in hand, waiting for mistakes. It was brutal. But no amount of pressure could hide Michael's natural talent. He joined his brothers in the Jackson 5 at just 6 years old and quickly stole the spotlight. Touring across the country in questionable venues, yes, even ones with strippers. They hustled until Motown signed them. I Want You Back, ABC, I'll Be There. Hit after hit followed. Michael wasn't just a star, he was a comet. By his late teens, he wanted more control. He started writing his own music, met Quincy Jones on the set of The Wiz, and together they launched Off the Wall, funky, fresh, and full of promise. But Michael wasn't satisfied. He wanted bigger. That hunger gave birth to Thriller, the best-selling album in music history. But as the music climbed the charts, his personal life spiraled. In 1993, Jackson was hit with devastating allegations. A 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler accused him of sexual abuse. But behind the headlines, things were murky. Jordan's father was caught on tape saying he'd win big if he went after Jackson. At first, Jordan himself denied anything happened. Then, after a bizarre chain of events involving a psychiatrist's suspicion, the story exploded. Jackson refused to pay hush money, so the family went public. Police raided Neverland while Jackson was overseas. Hundreds of children who had visited the ranch were interviewed. Not a single one reported abuse. Yet the damage was done. Jackson eventually settled the civil suit out of court, not because he admitted guilt, but to stop the legal avalanche. Still, the criminal case was dropped. No charges, no conviction. But his reputation? Torn. Then, in 2005, it happened all over again. A new accusation. A new trial. This time, the case made it to court. The boy accusing him had a history of manipulating celebrities for money. Still, Jackson was charged with multiple counts. It was serious. The courtroom was a circus, the stress unimaginable. Michael's health crumbled under the pressure. But after months of testimony, the jury came back with a clear verdict. Not guilty on all charges. You'd think that would be the end of it. But the shadow never left. By 2006, Jackson was drowning in debt. He owed hundreds of millions. Neverland closed. He left the US, hopping from country to country. Deals fell through. At one point, he couldn't even pay his staff. In a last-ditch effort to recover, he announced a massive comeback tour. This is it. 50 sold-out shows in London. Fans were ecstatic. Michael was working day and night. Then came June 25, 2009. Michael Jackson was found unresponsive in his Los Angeles home. His personal doctor had been giving him dangerous sedatives, including propofol, a powerful drug used in surgeries, not bedrooms. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, but at 2:26 p.m., he was pronounced dead. Cause of death: overdose. The world was stunned. His doctor was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. But death didn't end his story. In fact, Jackson's music became even bigger. He broke records posthumously. Millions of albums sold. His estate landed a $250 million deal with Sony. His influence didn't just survive, it exploded. Still, the controversy followed. In 2013, new allegations emerged. Two men, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, both of whom had previously defended Jackson, now claimed he abused them as kids. Their lawsuits were tossed out for being too late. But in 2019, the documentary Leaving Neverland put their claims back into the spotlight. The backlash was intense. Some stations pulled his music, fans were divided. Yet others, including former child stars like Macaulay Culkin and Brett Barnes, defended him. They insisted Jackson never crossed a line. Counter-documentaries surfaced. Jackson's estate even sued HBO. In 2023, a new California law reopened the window, and the lawsuits were revived. So the debate? Still raging. And then Paris Jackson spoke. In a rare 2017 interview, she mentioned something subtle, but telling, about the Neverland upstairs. She remembered sitting downstairs, doing homework, as the ceiling shook with footsteps. Her dad was practicing, always practicing, alone, late into the night. She recalled the dust falling, the heavy thuds, and the silence when he finally stopped. It wasn't sinister, but it was strange, mysterious. That single comment reignited public curiosity. What was really going on upstairs? Was it just privacy, or something else? Some housekeepers once mentioned security alarms and secret staircases. There were even rumors about hidden rooms, but none of it has ever been proven. What we do know is that Neverland was built for escape, and maybe so was that upstairs. Paris never hinted at anything dark, just exhaustion, and a father who never seemed to rest. So what do we make of all this? Michael Jackson's life was a storm of genius, fame, heartbreak, and scandal. He gave away hundreds of millions to charity, transformed pop forever, and broke racial barriers in music. But he also battled addiction, faced unrelenting scrutiny, and died too soon. And now, we're left with a legacy both shining and shadowed. Fans will always feel the magic. Critics will always raise questions. The truth? It might lie somewhere in the middle, between the beat of Billie Jean and the echo of footsteps above a dusty ceiling. If this story gave you something to think about, or made you feel a little closer to understanding the man behind the myth, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're the kind of person who loves diving deep into legends, scandals, and untold truths, make sure to subscribe. Because the story isn't over.